Hey there, Don Henderson back again. Just thought I'd pick up where I left off in the last video. I'm going to pick up more on the video I just did about your why. Um, and I left some things out because of some situations I had no control over, kind of, sort of. And also this video, I want to plant some seeds in your mind. I'm not going to go into a lot of details with things I want you to think about because as we go forward, these are subjects I will bring back again and again, and probably pretty soon go into deeper and deeper detail. So first of all, I'm going to call this Y2, even though there's more than just Y to it. I want to go into the thing about how excited I was about my wife publishing another book. I actually have it this time. Okay, this one's called Unraveling Resiliency, The Journey from Trauma to Therapist. And in the notes below, you'll find links to buy the book if you're interested. But I'm going to show it to you here. See if I can get back a little bit more from the camera. There we go. And so that's what the book looks like. This is the soft cover book. And I want you to notice, which I was surprised by, there are no pictures, charts, or diagrams. It's all words. And on the back, which this is one of the pictures of her I really love. Picture of my wife with her guide dog, getting around town, flying around town. So anyhow, I just want to show that to you. And also her first book, which is called Becki Justbecki, A Glimpse into My Bag of Abuse. It's her first memoir, but it's a smaller book. And I think it's got some pictures in it. Yeah, it's got some pictures of different things. Things she worked on. Yeah. That's her with her first guide dog. Anyhow, so a little bit smaller book. It was the first attempt, but this one I have read. I haven't read the other one yet. I just haven't had a chance yet, but great book. And a link for that is also down below. And one of the things I want to talk about is why is it important, if you can, do something like write a book? Well, several things. One is not only is it an income source currently, her book is up at Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and a lot of other places. A couple things, or a few things. Number one, you only write a book once. So yeah, you may take some time and effort and some money to get it going, but you only do it once. And once it's published, it'll probably remain published. After she's long gone, her book will probably be at Amazon or whatever replaces it. It'll be in electronic format, Kindle, paper, PDFs even. And so it can be a sustainable passive income because, again, you only write it once. You're not writing it every day. Every time someone buys a book, you don't write it again. And also, it's legacy, something you're going to leave behind after you're gone, and generational wealth creation. And what I mean by that is that after we're gone, it could be set up so that her kids can make money off of it. You know, they can receive the residuals or the, I forgot what it's called, when you get money from your books, it just keep coming in. Royalties, that's what I was looking for. That can keep going, and it can go, you know, to her grandchildren even. You know, it could be part of that package of inheritance. And when I talk about legacy when it comes to books, I'm sure most of you, or a lot of you, know this one by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. This one's a paperback. And it was, let's see here, when was it published? 1937, almost 100 years ago. This you can get in paper, I think Kindle as well, things like that. Audiobooks, perhaps. And it's still in print way after he passed away. And you can get it, I found it in PDF form, things like that. But this is legacy. This book is still impacting people. It's one of the most well-known, best-selling self-help success books there ever been. I mean, this is like the Bible of the series. There's others, of course, but this is one of the big ones. And so, you know, Napoleon Hill's long gone. his books are still being printed. His name is still known by people. So if you're into the legacy thing, it's one way to do it. What else? Legacy. Oh, let's talk about legacy for a minute. My career was primarily in IT, information technology, and aerospace. Something I started out really loving to do. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I started out what they call programming back in the day. I believe it's called coding today, writing programs to do things on computers. And I loved it because it was, back then, it was easy money. I mean, you knew how to do a little bit of programming and you can get hired right away and make really good money for what little training you can get. And it was fun. I always liked the puzzle part of it, you know, trying to solve problems. And, you know, like if in college, they would give you an assignment to do X. And I'd always take it to the next level because I wanted to see what I could do with it. Kind of weird that way. And one of my first jobs in aerospace, I programmed a database for the hardware and software, the inventory of stuff that we had for the group that I worked with. It was for CAD CAM hardware all around the company. And it made it so it was easier to keep track of things like what do we have, what model, what version, what building, which department organization had them, things like that. I built that and I was really proud of it. But I'm not a real maintenance guy, even though a lot of my jobs were maintenance. I handed that over to a coworker who, his skill was maintaining things very well. So I gave that over to them. But the thing about that field that made me not real proud about what I did, even though some of the things that I was involved in, some of the projects were fairly, well, I should say very successful and also quite awesome. There's something about that field that kind of leaves the ability to have a legacy in the dust. And what I mean by that is at one point when I was working in aerospace, we had what they call a 2-year refresh cycle. So what does that mean? Is that hardware and software every 2 years you get upgraded. Like you have a PC on your desk, 2 years later you get a new one. Why? Well, it's not only wear and tear, but also technology moves so quickly that, you know, you get the new improved things. So if like Microsoft Word back in the day before it was automatically updated like it is now, you buy the next version of it because it had some things that you needed, some new tools that was in it. And so to make that work, you needed a newer version of Windows software or a Windows operating system. And Windows operating system required more hardware of the PC, whatever. So you're constantly chasing yourself with a technology that one pushes the other to go higher and higher. So I remember I came back from a vacation and I walked into the area I worked in this one time. It was in a data center. So it's a lot of servers before we had cloud computing, things like that. So basically you had all the hardware in the area that you were working. And I saw all these cables and computing parts and hard drives and everything else. And I just thought to myself, this is not life. This is not what it's all about, because it meant nothing. If I built a system on one day in 1 year, a couple of years later it'd be replaced. Like all the stuff I did before I retired, it's gone. It's gone. There is no legacy. There's memories. I mean, I had some really good experiences. You know, I made good money, have a good retirement, made a lot of friends. In fact, that's where I met my wife. So there's good things about it, but as far as my career, what I was working on, there's very little legacy. Now let's go to the working man. My father, blue collar, worked with his hands. He was an electrician, commercial electrician. And I want people to know that if that's your field, if you're building things like houses, like where I'm living now, you have a legacy. You really do. If you're an architect, an engineer, someone in the trades, you have a legacy. Every place I've lived in my life, from the time I was born is still standing and still occupied by somebody. Generations. I mean, you know, thinking about where my first house, that I grew up, or not when I grew up in, but the first part of my childhood, where it is, it's still there. There's another family living there. I don't know how many different families have lived there since my family moved out, but it's still there. It's still there. Same thing with commercial buildings. Every time I drive through downtown Long Beach, California, I'll see the main police station that's in town. My father's long gone. He's been gone for decades. And the building, the company he worked for that put all the electrical in it is still there. If my dad was still around, I could point that to him and he says, wow, you know, I remember working on that. It's still standing. Me, the kind of industry I was in, no, there's no legacy. So he's gone. Everybody that probably worked on it is dead, but the building is still standing. So why am I bringing this up to you? You know, these are things like the things that give us satisfaction out of life, meaning out of life. You know, when I talked about in the last video about your why, you know, why do you do things? What drives you? What is your purpose? Part of that is legacy. You know, I mean, it could be a lot of different things. You know, like family, you know, you have children, you have grandchildren, things like that. That's part of your legacy. But you can also do it in your career as well. Depending what you're doing. Like for instance, these videos, I don't know if YouTube's going to be around forever. I don't know. But the things on the internet tend to last forever, you know, I mean, good and bad. You know, my grandchildren come by this YouTube or whatever, whoever owns the videos down the road, it could be something else. Who knows what will be invented. My voice and my mug will probably still be out there somewhere. So in a way, doing these videos is part of my legacy. So what else do we have here? I'm sure everybody that's watching this video has heard of KFC, at least in America. And what does KFC stand for? Now, the younger generation may not know because for decades it's been called KFC. And it stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken, okay? It's a Southern style fried chicken place, fast food. It's been around since I've been around. The guy who started it, his name is Colonel Sanders. And the company he created was Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, let's go into the age thing. A lot of people that are older figure that, like myself, after they retire, there's nothing left to do. I'm tired of what I used to do. I'm older. There's some things I can't do anymore. But he created something that's still here today. Speaking of legacy, do you know how old he was when he started KFC? Now, the records that I checked says 62. It's 4 years younger than I am right now. So those that are seniors, retirees, there are opportunities to use your creativity and to develop something. I think he died in 1980. And all of these fast food stores, restaurants, whatever you want to call it, are still around. They're still doing well. You know, I don't know if his family, if his descendants get any money from that. You know, I don't know how that works out. I've never researched that. But that's legacy right there. And the thing is when he built that, he turned some of the stores into franchises, which means people buy licensing for rights for the recipe and how to do things and the signs and all that. So instead of him working at all the stores to make the money, he was getting income from it because he grew the business. He developed the systems. He grew the business. So, you know, even after he retired, I'm sure he was making some good money just from the proceeds of what he created. So that's about it. What I wanted to really let you know is that um, things you need to think about when you're creating something. I'm not talking about necessarily having a career. You know, a lot of us that have had jobs are just ways of getting a paycheck, you know, maybe some other benefits or whatever. But when you create something using your creativity, um, using your foresight, in other words, what's going to be like, what is this thing going to be like down the road? You can have a legacy. And like having the books, you know, you can, and the restaurants, you can create generational wealth, meaning that even after you're gone, your descendants are making money off something you created, whether it's a book, restaurants, if you built a building, you know, say if you built a building and you still own it, you know, your family owns it, you have income from that. These are all things to think about, because one of the reasons I started this video series is not only to give me a platform to talk about things I know about, my opinions, things like that. All of us on YouTube do things, similar things like that. Is that there's many things I've learned in my lifetime that if I had learned when I was younger, um, I would have been a lot better off. Um, let me give you one more story, and it's a little embarrassing, but I'll give you this story before we go. I remember as a young adult, my father, when he retired on disability because he had a heart attack and he wasn't able to work in construction anymore, but he had retirement. And generally, from his generation, retirement was a pension. I don't know what else he got, but his generation, they're very quiet about money. They never talked about it and never uh, complained about it, anything like that. But I remember when I first started studying investing, I asked my dad, I said, you know, Dad, you and Mom did really well. You know, you own your house, you have an income, you're not working, you don't seem to be hurting in any way, shape, or form. So I know that you did something with the money you made in your career that sustains you. And my dad had an easy chair, a lounge chair. I don't think it was a lazy boy, but anyhow, recliner. And on one side of his chair was a table for, like, you know, you put your drinks or whatever on that side. And the other side was a stack of magazines. And I said, Dad, can you know, share with me what you've learned and what you've been successful with? Can you give me some guidance on this? He put his hand down on the magazines and said, son, you need to start reading these magazines. Get a subscription, start reading these magazines. That's how you're going to learn how to do it. Okay, so he had 20 plus years of knowledge and experience, and he was going to keep it locked up into his head instead of, you know, giving me the ability to take a step up from his knowledge. I think that maybe that was a generational thing. And my 2 cents on that, I really regretted that he didn't, you know, sit down next to me and teach me things that I could get out of those magazines faster than actually reading them myself and starting from scratch. When I talk about legacy, generational wealth, parents, grandparents, when you learn things about investing, about business, about how money works, how life works, you know, sit down with your kids and start, you know, teaching them some things. You may not be, depending on their age and where they are in life, they may not be real receptive to everything you have to, the pearls of wisdom that you want to impart on them. But do that. Give them a leg up, because I'll tell you, it's very rare in schools, public schools, even private schools, that financial literacy is taught. And if it is, it's very little. So it's on those of us who have learned it from other people, other sources, to teach it to other people, because there is a deficiency of that knowledge. Whether if you think it's by design, you know, there's individuals in our culture that doesn't want us to learn these things and kind of have control over us, or laziness, or people just don't see it as being important. But let me tell you, working your whole life, working till the day you die, that's not a plan. That's just surviving. And so doing this gives me an opportunity to share with you the things I've learned over the years, what works, what hasn't worked for me, things I'm learning right now, like this platform. I'm learning different software packages on how to edit, and different kind of hardware and software to use to make these videos better. I mean, I got a lot to learn. I mean, this is not my field. When I have taught in the past, it's usually in a classroom situation. This is what's kind of weird for me, makes it difficult for me, is that I don't see your eyeballs. I don't see your reaction. I mean, when I have done Zoom, it helps a little bit. You do get some feedback, but doing these kind of videos, it's one way. You just have to kind of imagine you've got an audience in front of you and how they're going to react. So anyhow, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And again, am I doing it for income? Sure, why not? If it's available, I'll take it. I mean, I've put in some effort into this. But my why is to help the next generation or other people that I can have touched, made an impact on, that their lives will be better. Leave things and leave people better than you find them. That's kind of like my mantra. Yeah, that's what I really want to do. But going back to when I used to teach the cash flow game, when parents would bring their kids, I mean, even elementary school kids, and how quickly they would pick up these concepts and like almost naturally understand how to make things work compared to their parents. Because as we get older, we get a lot of rules in our heads that, keep us from thinking outside the box. Kids don't have those. So if you have an opportunity to work with your kids and grandkids, I totally encourage you to do that. So anyhow, I think that's all I have for today. Yeah, be creative. We all have creativity. Tap into that. Look outside of where you are right now. If you've got a career, whether it's this is where you want to be, or if this is just a job, look outside, get some training, listen to my videos. There's a ton of videos from other people out there that are really good. Learn investing techniques, learn your why, like I said in the last video. Think about things that you do, that you create, that you do for an income, whether it is designing something, building a business, writing a book. Think in those terms of legacy, generational income, passive income, things like that. Because you know what? Trust me, as time goes on, whether you're young or old, there's always that chance that you may not be able to do whatever it is you're doing right now, and you need to have income. People I want to go into this later about people's beliefs about money. But we all need it because it's the fuel of life. It's how we pay the bills, how we buy the car, how we feed ourselves, get a house over, a roof over our heads, things like that. But there's ways to have a positive impact, because we're put here all for different purposes, but we're put here to serve each other. And like Tony Robbins said, and it's also in the Bible, the more people you serve, the more you get back and more income you make. So there's another seed right there, service. Anyhow, it's kind of rambling this time. I just wanted to throw some stuff out there because I'm going to develop some of these other what I call seeds into full-length videos, and we'll go deeper into the subjects. But for now, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.